to bring you another video on you. I know this one may seem a little weird. This is a completely different. I wanted to try something new. This video happens to be on engines that you will probably want to run in uh, other decks. Based on what kind of deck you're running, they can be ran in almost any deck. In the end, I'll pretty much say give you a list of what you can run them in, and if you've seen my other videos, or if I mention one that I haven't stated yet, my fault, but or that I haven't made a video on, my bad, but I will be keeping you guys up to date. Every new engine I get, I will be bringing it to you. Some of these engines may get an update, which you might see in future videos. Um, but let's get started, shall we? Now, I want to start off with the most prominent engine that I know so far, the one that I use in almost all my pendulum decks, um, which happens to be the Odd Eyes engine. The Odd Eyes engine is just super fantastic, super great, and I might, it might have like it might have gotten an update bit if you actually run the Odd Eyes Arc Dragon, or Arc Pendulum Dragon, which you can use in this engine. But let's get into this engine, shall we? At the moment, this engine will probably get like an update later, but right now, here's the best list of it so far. The first part of the engine you run, which is the only monster at the moment, you run three, well, only main monster. You run three Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, I don't know if you've seen my videos, but if you haven't, please check them out. But Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, if you don't already know what he does, he is absolutely fantastic. Helps you with rank 7 plays, helps you fusion for the fusion monsters that you're going to be using in this deck. Also, allows you to deal double damage. Yeah, allows you to deal double damage to any. Uh, allows you to deal double the damage to your opponent from a battle that you did with another. That this card did with another monster. Pendulum effect. Any battle damage you would have taken that involved a pendulum monster, you could reduce it to 0 to the end of this turn, I do believe. Well, you reduce it to 0. Also, you can pop this monster from your scale, and and upon doing so, you can actually add a monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, but that's during the end phase. But yeah, that one's that. That's that. Next, you run three Sky Irises. Sky Irises. The reason why you run it is to help you search for your Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and of course the only fusion card that you run in the engine, which I will get into in a bit. But the Sky Iris is absolutely fantastic. It even goes into further help if you're running it in like Odd Eyes Pendulum Magicians, or Odd Eyes Performance Pals, or just a pure Odd Eyes deck altogether. Which you run three. You always want to have three of this card. Next, we run do terraforming. Now, terraforming, a lot of people don't consider this a part of the engine. I consider it a main part of the engine to help you search your Sky Iris. So say you don't have this card. So say you don't have Sky Iris in your hand the moment you need it activated, and you have a terraforming. Activate terraforming, add Sky, activate Sky Iris. Just the usual, it's just plain old simple. Just add one field spell from your deck to your hand. Now uh, the fusion spell card that you want to run in this deck, I mean, sorry, in this engine, you only run two of it. It is searchable by Sky Iris's effect, as I had mentioned before, is two Odd Eyes Fusion. Odd Eyes Fusion is absolutely great. You can use two Odd Eyes monsters from your deck as fusion material if you have no monsters on the field and your opponent controls two or more monsters, which is extremely good. Like you, so say you have nothing in your hand except Odd Eyes Fusion. You have no field whatsoever. Your opponent has two monsters on the field. Activate this fusion two Odd Eyes monsters from your extra deck, and it's an automatic fusion, which is extremely great. Getting into the extra deck point of the engine, you run two Odd Eyes Absolute Dragons. Now, again, I've mentioned this in my other videos, so I'm going to mention it again if you haven't seen the others. This card is absolutely great when coupled with Side. The reason being is because you can actually detach one of his material if an attack was declared. Detach one X's material, negate the attack, then special summon one Odd Eyes monster from your graveyard to the field. Now, whenever this card leaves the field, whether by battle or by card effect, no matter whose card effect activates, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck, except Absolute, which effect pop Odd Eyes Fusion effects special summon Odd Eyes face from your extra deck, which you do not know how many freaking boards you can set up with that. Um, but yeah, you want to run two of this. Like, no doubt, you never want to run three or just one of it. Next, we run Odd Eyes Meteor Burst. Meteor Burst is absolutely great. Say your opponent has a monster effect that activates during battle phase. You This card's effect negates all of those effects. My phone's game. Every time this card is special summoned, you can target one monster summon it. Obviously, one of the best choices to help you with your board plays when needed. And of course, the final card you run in this engine as of right now, until I update this engine, is Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Vortex Dragon is absolutely fantastic. You do not know how much this card can help you. It negates any effect whatsoever by shuffling one face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck back into the deck. Also, every time it is special summoned, you get to bounce one of your opponent's monsters back to his hand, which is technically like a compulsory evacuation device, which is extremely perfect. Also level 7, so it helps you with rank 7 plays. Extremely perfect. Moving on to the next, which I'm gonna save the best engine for last. This next engine I haven't really tested out yet, but I really want to see how it goes, which is a symphonic warrior engine, which I found a little odd because I got a suggestion. Thank you for questions. Um, I will text to you, um, though I'm gonna ask that if anyone knows more about this engine, please leave a comment down below and notify me on the engine's effects. So we have two symphonic warrior mix or mics. I don't even know how it is a scale of one. Also, unless you have a simple, its pendulum effect is unless you have a symphonic warrior card in your other pendulum zone. This pendulum becomes 4, Gala 4. Once per turn during your end phase, you can target one of your banished Symphonic Warrior monsters added to your hand. This engine. In this engine, you're going to want to run 2 Supreme King Gate Zeros. Of course, Gate Zero effect. Of course, if you control a Zark, you take no damage, which you always want to have a Zark in this engine, which sadly I do not at the moment, so bear with me. I'll give you an update when I finally get my Zark. Affinity, level 13 scales. Of course, the pendulum effect is you control a monster you cannot pendulum summon. Boo-hoo, whatever. Uh, this effect cannot be negated. Okay, who is gonna want to? Also, once per turn, if you control Supreme King Zark, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, gain life points equal to its attack. That is absolutely fantastic. Also, once per turn, you can target one other face-up card you control, destroy both it and this card, and if you do, special summon one dragon type Xyz or pendulum monster from your extra deck. And but its attack and defense become 0. It has its effects negated, cannot be used as material for synchro or Xyz summoning. This card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or by card effect. You can place this card in your pendulum zone. More relatively gates. Um, just the is different. Now the final monster that you run in the main deck is 3 Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm. Now Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm's pendulum effect is once per turn. If you special summon this card, you can only use each effect of Dark Worm once per turn. Helps synchro plays, rank 4 plays, of course fusion plays for the fusion summoning of Zark, and the other ones also for the other effects of the extra deck monsters, which you will learn right now. Wait, hold on, let me just uh, set up for. Okay, now first extra deck monster you run is Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion. Dun dun dun. The corrupted version of Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon requires 4 Dark monsters. On return, at refresh calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 X's material from this card until the end of this turn. Change the attack effect, which is perfect for this. Um, the next card you obviously want to run is Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. Now, Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, you need 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner Dark Pendulum monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. This is a living, walking Regeki in the form of a dragon. Now, once per turn before damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute 2 Supreme King Dragon monsters. Extremely good. You need 2 Dark Pendulum monsters. Must be either fusion summon, special summon by attributing the above cards. In which case you do not use poly. Once per turn. Wait, sorry for the grainy effect. Once per turn, you can target one monster on the field or in the graveyard until the end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's original name. Replace this effect with that monster's original effects. For this turn, if your monster attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent, which helps out perfectly. Now, the only card that you actually that I am missing at the moment, which I have mentioned before, is of course the Zark, which which you will want to run in this deck, or in that engine. Of course, you can mix two engines together if you want to make an entire new engine. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I try to find a way to mix these two engines to see how well they'd run. Other than that, I haven't tried anything new or exotic. Now, here comes the moment that I told you at the beginning. If you paid attention, I said that I will tell you exactly which decks you can run these in. And based on what I've seen, you can run in even the DDDs. I know the DDDs like but here's the only difference: they run that they run that much plus the what's his face they run they used to run, of course, Astrograph, but Astrograph got banned, so they started running Chronograph with, and of course they ran like where is he? There you are. And of course they ran the three of Abyss Actor, Curtain Raiser. But yeah, that's majority pretty much these engines you can run in pretty much every deck and any deck that you want based on how well they run. I would pretty much in any pendulum based deck in any deck that you can that actually use them and utilize them very